I like to think of my sword as an extension of myself. Any questions? Hello and welcome to another exciting Nintendo Power review. So today we're going to be covering issue 15. It's actually a strategy guide. It's one of several strategy guides that they put out around this time frame. I believe there were 4 of them altogether. These were not received tremendously well, so they only did a couple of them. This one in particular, for some reason, the cover has a lot of trouble staying on. I'm not sure why. I actually have 2 copies of this one that I bought over time. The cover of the first one was just missing entirely, so I bought another one, and cover was attached, but then within a few days, it just gradually came off. So I don't know what it is about this particular issue, but covers do not like to stay on it. In any case, I've got the cover, so I'll glue it back on or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But either way, this is an interesting issue because it only covers one specific game. Most issues of Nintendo Power, they have, obviously a huge variety of subject matter. But this, all Ninja Gaiden 2. It's a singular focus. So you'd think that it would cover every little thing about Ninja Gaiden 2. So this could be pretty interesting. Let's get into it. So right off the bat, we've got the Legend of the Dragon Ninja. Some tremendous artwork. I just want to say, look at this katana right here. That is just, wow, look at that thing. Very cool. Man, I imagine if I were reading this as a kid, I would be completely blown away by it. This is just fantastic. And there is a kind of running comic through this particular issue, showing you the plot line of the game as it plays out. So you get some very nice artwork of Ashtar, who is the villain of the game. He's kind of a samurai crossed with the Phantom of the Opera. And here he is giving orders to his minions. Moving on, we've got the characters. Got a nice little small but focused group of characters here. You've got Ryu Hayabusa, the main character. Irene Liu, who is basically Scully. And over here is Ashtar. Ashtar is a badass dude. He is the secret boss of the villain from the first Ninja Gaiden. Of course, later, spoiler alert, turns out that the villain of the first Ninja Gaiden is still around and is actually Ashtar's secret boss. Here we've got the items, the ninja arts. Every base is covered. It's very in-depth. I also want to note that the pages feel very strange. They don't feel like your typical Nintendo Power pages. They're kind of thicker, and they feel like thick kind of construction paper almost, as opposed to your usual just kind of thin, glossy pages. Just an interesting note. Some more very cool artwork as we head into Act 1 of the game. You've got your usual traditional area maps as you progress. The boss of the first area, got a nice picture of him right here. He looks very, whoa. And that would be Dando the Curse, which is an undead powerhouse. Whoa, what is this? An envelope. There's an envelope here for to subscribe to Nintendo Power. Wow, that's awesome. It's not too late to get in on some really cool issues if you subscribe at this point in time. So between levels, we have more comic strips telling the story. Right here, we actually show Ryu defeating the first boss. And, oh man, a great picture here. For the Journey to Laha, Act 2. We see Ryu running through the rain, the torrential rain pouring down on him as he sprints towards his goal. So Act 2 is a train speeding in the direction of a remote tower. This game was so appealing to me as a kid. The entire Ninja Gaiden series, really, all three of them on the NES, so appealing. It was kind of like Indiana Jones with a ninja, because he would travel around the world. He'd go to crazy, outlandish places, fight mysterious, menacing villains. It was just so interesting. And there was this kind of supernatural component to it, but there was also a scientific component to it. And it would kind of mix the two. So it was just, whew. Yeah, the Ninja Gaiden game's very interesting stuff. So far, the strategy guy is doing a good job capturing the mood of Ninja Gaiden 2. It's very colorful, and there's a lot of artwork, but it's also very heavy on information. There's a ton of information on these pages. These maps constantly point out to you different things to look out for as you progress through the levels. So very informative, very useful strategy guide here. Do I think that devoting an entire issue to a single game was the best idea? No, I don't, and I'm glad that they only did it for a couple of issues. Especially back then, I mean, kids must have been losing their minds waiting for the next issue of this magazine, only to have it arrive and it only covers one game. What about people that don't have Ninja Gaiden 2? I'm guessing a lot of Nintendo Power readers didn't have this game. They got the guide. It was probably fun to read. I mean, these magazines are fun to read, whether you've played these games or not. But still, I imagine there were a lot of kids who read this, had fun reading it, but couldn't get the game for whatever reason. And, you know, I just feel like it was a poor use of a Nintendo Power issue. What they should have done is had this be a separate thing entirely. So in addition to your normal issue for that month, they also released a strategy guide. You know, that would have been cool. Of course, the resources would have been spread more thin that way, so the strategy guide would have had to have been probably shorter. But I think that would have been okay. It would have been a supplemental thing as opposed to the sole issue that you got that month. But be all that as it may, it's in the distant past. I'm just kind of analyzing the whole idea of strategy guides. Moving on though, we've got Baron Spider, one of the more interesting fights in the game. He throws a lot of spiders into the air. The guy's just he's a maniac. And moving on from that, we have one of my favorite strips from the comic that runs throughout this issue. It's Ryu standing over Baron Spider. He asks, "Who are you?" Baron Spider says something that I'll never forget. He says, "We are tribesmen from the world of chaos, led by the Emperor of Darkness, Ashtar." Just that one line, it stimulates your imagination so much because you're thinking about it and you're going, tribesmen from the world of chaos. What is the world of chaos? Where is the world of chaos? What is the world of chaos like? Who are these tribesmen? Where are the rest of them? What are they like? It creates an entire world in one line. It's like, I want to go to the world of chaos and face more of these tribesmen in battle. Very cool stuff. So now we've arrived at Act 3, which is the outside of the Tower of Laha. I hope I'm saying that right. Tower of Laha, no relation to the Tower of Latria in Demon's Souls. In any case, this part of the game is really cool because you can only see where you're going when lightning flashes in the background. So you have to really time your jumps to succeed in this particular level. And you get through that level and you arrive at the tower itself, which has a beautiful red sky in the background. And this is where the game really kind of ramps up in difficulty. So Nintendo Power has to work overtime at this point to make sure that you know which power-ups to grab, where they are, and what sections of the level to look out for, what traps to beware, and so forth. At the end of Act 3, you face Funky Dynamite, the reptilian super cyborg, which it's worth noting that the background for this fight is amazing. It's a red sky with mountains, and basically you're fighting on top of the tower, so you have this tremendous view behind you as you fight. And after that, our hero comes face to Iron Mask with Ashtar, who blasts him with an energy beam and makes off with Irene. Of course, Irene has to get kidnapped. And it's worth noting that Robert, the Marine character, he comes in and he opens fire on Ashtar, and apparently it has no effect on him. The bullets have no effect on him. You can actually see in the top frame here that he fires his last bullet. His gun is actually empty at that point. They show the last bullet flying out right there. So, I never noticed that before. So he actually used up his entire clip of ammo on Ashtar. No effect. Moving on, we've got Act 4, the Maze of Darkness. This is another really cool looking area. It's got fire in the background. It's basically one big inferno match. And the coverage here is good, but I wish that the background were a little bit more interesting. As you can see, there's just this kind of dark background behind the actual maps and such. And it's just not very interesting. They could have made it much more interesting with maybe some fire in the background, you know, kind of mimicking the level itself. And yeah, more fun with Ashtar as things go from fire to ice.
And for ECW, very extreme. It's got to make them different. Yeah, I thought that was hokey. I hated that. The Vixens, it just, if we're going to continue on, let them be superstars, let them be divas, whatever, because they were all being interchanged at the time as well. And that was another issue. That was another problem. You couldn't tell the difference between all the brands. Everybody was intervened.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Now they're emulating the level layout. You see all the ice in the background? That's more what I'm talking about. This really sets the mood. Just this color scheme sets the mood for these ice levels at the end of the game. Yeah, man, Act 5 here, it gets very nasty. You've got entire walls and passageways lined with spikes. It's like a Gargoyles Quest game. If you've ever played Gargoyles Quest or Demon's Crest, those games love passageways lined with spikes. And now we've got a great little comic section here where Ryu actually rescues Irene. He saves her. Unfortunately, she seems to be injured. He's pleading with her not to die while Ashtar looks on creepily. And he says, "Haha, see how the sword of chaos trembles with delight." I don't know what that means, bro, but I think you need to kind of cool it a little bit with your sword of chaos. So now we have a great page right here. This page is fantastic. You've got a shot of Ryu facing off with his much larger opponent, Ashtar. Ashtar absolutely dwarfs Ryu. The scene is drawn from the perspective behind Ryu, so you're kind of with him looking up at this massive force that he's face to face with. It's just tremendous. You've also got a great close-up of Ryu's katana being drawn, and there's little bolts of electricity coming off of it. Just really beautiful artwork there. And now we've got coverage of the actual fight with Ashtar. He has metal claws for feet. I'm not sure what the deal is there. Great little tip right here that I actually didn't know before. You can climb the wall in Ashtar's room, and there's actually a safe spot where he can't hit you. Unfortunately, you can't hit him either from that spot unless you use magic, which is limited. But very interesting tip right there. I did not know that. And now we're in Act 6, which is some sort of castle that sunk into the earth. And you go through there and you emerge back out into the outdoors. But now Ryu is in the world of darkness, or the world of chaos. It's inconsistent about what the name of the place is. But this area is very foreboding, to say the least. And I love their description of it here. It says, thoroughly disoriented by the madhouse passageways of the Maze of Darkness, Ryu stands before an alien vista never before looked upon by human eyes. Is this an earthly vision, or has he somehow entered the world of darkness? A twisting, rocky causeway leads to a tower which radiates pure evil. The sky glows with a harsh, forbidding red, and a sea, the color of blood, laps at the edge of the bridge. Fantastic writing right there. I love a twisting rocky causeway leading to a tower that radiates pure evil. Whew. I just love that mental image. So this area is very red and very menacing, and at the end you fight the Kelberos, which are Jaquio's loyal dogs from the first game. Jaquio is the villain that you fight in the original Ninja Gaiden. And the Kelberos are more like a couple of gargoyles, but the game refers to them as dogs for some reason. So you fight them again here, and perceptive players who have played the first game are going to go, hey, wait a minute, I defeated Ashtar, but the game's still going. Now I'm fighting Jaquio's pets. Does this mean Ashtar is not the actual villain of this game? So the quick, perceptive players have already figured out that Jaquio has returned. Either way, this guide, to their credit, does not actually spell it out for you. So that's kind of cool. Act 7 is this very odd green and red kind of environment. And I love what they did with these last 2 pages, because they didn't give away the final boss. They didn't give away that it was Jaquio. They do show you kind of a silhouette of the final boss. And they have this really cool effect of just kind of screenshots popping out from the pages in this cascading effect. Just really, really fantastic how they did that. I love these last 2 pages. And after that, we've just got a couple of ads. You know, the guide's over. A couple of ads for Nintendo Power. Here's a guy who looks like Sean Astin holding a rolled-up issue. And yeah, that does it for the Ninja Gaiden 2 Strategy Guide. Just absolutely excellent. So much fun. I think I would like this even more if I had read it as I played the game back in the day. But even now, just looking at it, it's just a fun read, you know, whether you're playing the game or not. I feel like these strategy guides are kind of a proto version of the player's guides that we would get later that were a bit meatier, a bit more focused. As good as this is, it's also a fairly short issue. So yeah, very much a proto version of later strategy guides. And I'm glad that they abandoned this idea of having certain issues just be strategy guides for a single game, because it was not the best idea. Well, what this did was it helped Nintendo Power find their footing. It helped them find their identity. Their identity being, we're going to go back to what we were doing before, just cover a variety of games in every issue. That was working really well. We're going to stick to that instead of continuing with the strategy guide format of just covering a single game every issue. That's not working. So this helped Nintendo find their footing, helped Nintendo Power Magazine rather, find their footing, find their identity. And it also served as a great predecessor to later players' guides to show them what works and what doesn't work, so that they would have something to work off of. So this actually served a very important purpose in the grand scheme of things with Nintendo Power Magazine. Very interesting stuff, and a very difficult game. There's no better action game to give a strategy guide to than Ninja Gaiden 2. So yeah, fantastic issue. Had a lot of fun reading it. Loved the comics. Loved the close-up artwork of the katana with the little dragon carving on it and the electricity. Whew, just so creative, so cool, so much fun. So yeah, that's it for today's episode. Thank you for joining me. And tune in next week when we're going to be covering a more normal issue of Nintendo Power. More run-of-the-mill issue. So I'll see you guys then.